Market day report. We'll be watching to see whether or not the corn market can settle in higher territory. If it does, it breaks a 4-day losing streak. So how do we start the morning, the trade? We've been up and going for about 15 minutes now, and it's 4.5 lower on the old crop at 446.5. New crop 441. It's down 2.5. Over to the soy trade, down 6 3/4. Old crop 1041 3/4. New crop down 7 at 1030.5. And that's now 2 days that we've been trading in the red. To the wheat market, we'll start with Chicago. And after a higher close yesterday and higher moves overnight, we're down a penny, 529. Make that 528 3/4. Hard red, same story there, but a penny higher on July at 526 1/4. And spring wheat led the charge yesterday, and it continues to do that today, up to 634.5. Cotton market continuing to struggle, down 2 consecutive sessions, and at 67.80 on the D's. That's down 30. Let's go across town to Nesvick Trading and Tommy Grisafi. And Tommy, again, kind of just a lackluster day of trade yesterday. What happens today?
Well, last night we opened up, we had that positive news on the judge ruling, very much affected stock industry futures. We had the S&P 500 up 100 points, NASDAQ up over 400. We had NVIDIA earnings out, NVIDIA being the number 1 or 2 largest company. Dow Jones was up 600 last night. Grains opened higher, did not hold that level. And now you're seeing some significant selling. We're starting to do some chart damage here. The bears are happy and the bulls are wondering when they're going to have their day. Maybe it's by the end of today, like you said. But a client called me today. He said, we really don't have a story right now in corn. And I said, no. But for all the people who said the world was ending because the stock market went down, now for agriculture, we have another problem. The stock market's rallied almost all the way back, and agriculture's in a slump. We did have another sell-off yesterday in the cattle market. We'll talk about that in the next segment. So there's the have and have-nots. At one point, if you looked at your phone last night, gold was down 50. It's up 20 now. Stock market having a phenomenal night, didn't hold it during the day. Total disconnect between stocks and commodities. We'll see. Maybe the dollar could help us out, Tony.
Okay, Tommy, you mentioned some chart destruction. When we talk about that, for anybody who doesn't understand, what does that mean?
Well, let's just keep it basic that there's moving averages. You talk about the 10-day, the 50-day, the 100-day, and the trend's your friend. And right now we're gently trending lower. If that continues, you'll see people pile in. The funds are pretty short a lot of these commodities, so they're very much liking this price action, and they will most likely be adding to these positions. On the flip side, if we could get above some of these moving averages, if we could stay above the 50-day for X amount of days, you'd start to see some short covering. So just the basics of charting 101, chart your friend, trend your friend, watch the moving averages, and go from there, my friend.
All right, so we'll see whether or not we can apply some of this to the livestock sector. We'll take a break and we'll pick that conversation back up. Market Day Report continues in a moment. Cash cattle, we'll see it develop either today or tomorrow. And the question will be whether or not we'll see higher prices. Will packers have to pay up, or will they be able to get their supply this week at steady money? Of course, big question, no answers yet. Live cattle, though, we know where that's headed, up $1.02 higher on the June, $214.95, $209 1/4 on the August. That's $1.10 higher. To the feeder market, and feeders starting the day in higher territory. August at $297.65. It's up $202, $1.77 higher on September at $296.22. Let's go to hogs. Hogs have been higher 2 consecutive sessions. Will they take a breather today? Well, we're seeing triple digits out of June, July, and August. And then there's the cliff as we hit October with quite a bit of a discount from 103.45 to the 87.80. Tommy Grisafi's with Nesvick Trading. Okay, Tommy, earlier we were talking about some chart destruction. I want to bring up the chart. This is a 2-day chart, I think, for feeders here. And when we look at this, again, well, yeah, that's the 2-day. We need to go, I guess, to a 3-day chart so we could really include what we saw on Tuesday. Some real damage done at that point. Would you agree?
Yeah, and Scott Shaladay and I covered on Cow Guy Close yesterday on the fake news story. It happened, right? Someone put out a story that screwworms the United States, and psychologically, even though it isn't, the damage is done on the charts. You don't get to take a pencil, Tony, and erase what happened. It happened, and tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars flowed in and out of the cattle market on that story. And we sold off very hard, about $3,500 per futures contract, bounced back. Did trade higher yesterday and then closed lower, but it gets people thinking. The point I brought up to Scott, you're saying Cow Guy Close in the segment was, remember when we had the pink slime incident? I don't think you can get 99.9% of Americans to even tell you what pink slime is, but what it did to the psychology of the market. Now, the fundamentals are so strong with this, and with the stock market up as much as it was up earlier, the Dow Jones is now unchanged. But I think the cattle are going to trade back to their true fundamentals. A little odd here, you and I were talking before we went live that it's a short week. It feels like Tuesday to me. It's Thursday, my friend. We're going to come into Friday. It's holidays. We're entering into June, and people are starting to travel. Starting to notice that in the next few weeks, there'll be less people on the trading desk all across America as kids are home from school. And heck, with all those low fuel prices, start the station wagon, go on a family trip. Back to you, my friend.
Yeah, good points there. Tommy Grisafi with Nesvick Trading. By the way, I was pretty close to ground zero with that pink slime incident.